in the trades, depending on where you're working, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to use the bathroom at some point. Now, sometimes you're working in subdevelopments, new construction areas where there will be porta potties available. And that's best case scenario. You're able to use a porta potty. But let's say we're even in more rural area where we don't have access to porta potties, or we don't have access to a gas station just to run to. Like a recent job I was just on, we're kind of up in the mountains or the hills, and there's not real good access to the bathroom. And depending if you need to take a number one or number two, you might be kind of curious, how the heck do I use the bathroom in this situation? Hello and welcome back to another episode of CTQ. Now, CTQ is a segment I do on this channel called Cruise the Questions, and this is where I take your guys' questions that you guys ask me, whether that's on email or in the YouTube comments down below, or you message me on LinkedIn or TikTok or Instagram, and I take those questions and I answer them here to help you guys on your blue collar career pathways. Now, at the time of recording of this video, it is December 31st, 2025. So if you're watching this in the new year, which you will be because it's going to be posted and uploaded on the new year, Happy New Year. I'm curious what your guys' 2026 plans are, for yourselves, or if you're trying to do a new career, if you're looking for a career, if you have any sort of 2026 things that you want to do in your life. I'd be curious. Put them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear to see what you guys have planned for your future. So, CTQ is this one of the best ways I'm able to help you guys directly on your guys' blue collar career pathways, whether those questions are regarding getting started in an apprenticeship, or why you're in an apprenticeship, or a trade you're looking to pursue, and you have questions, whatever the case may be. I'm here to try to help you the best way I can. I don't have all the answers, but I know enough people that have answers about a lot of different trades. So, with all being said, I am going to hop into question number one. Now, question number one is coming from a guy commenting on the video at -E. He says, silly question. In the rural areas, how is the access of the bathroom? I suffer from my colon, so I go to the bathroom more often. I'm really interested in the trade. I have been a truck driver for 5 years and I need to learn more stuff. At this point, trucking is boring. Thanks. This is not a silly question. Honestly, if you've never worked in the trades, that might be a very real question, especially if you suffer from something like your colon, whatever, maybe you have a small prostate or a small bladder. Like, I would like to think I have a small bladder. Yeah, I'm always having to take a piss. Okay, in rural areas, and I don't know what you mean by when you say rural areas. Like, are you thinking rural like subdivision rural, or are you thinking like out in the woods rural, out in the mountains rural? Either way, in the trades, depending on where you're working, it doesn't matter. You're going to have to use the bathroom at some point. Now, sometimes you're working in subdevelopments, new construction areas where there will be porta potties available. And that's best case scenario. You're able to use a porta potty. Okay, that's been a lot of part of my career so far, or I should say about probably 50%. I'm working close to a new development, or I'm working close to a gas station or something. And hey, if I really need to use the bathroom really bad, then I'm able to use a porta potty, or I'm able to run to the nearest store and do that. But let's say we're even in more rural area where we don't have access to porta potties, or we don't have access to a gas station just to run to. Like a recent job I was just on, we're kind of up in the mountains or the hills, and there's not real good access to the bathroom. And depending if you need to take a number one or number two, you might be kind of curious, how the heck do I use the bathroom in this situation? Now, of course, if it's a number one and you're a dude, it's pretty easy just to go find a tree or a brushed area, off the beaten path somewhere, and just unbutton, zip down, and take a number one. Okay, if you need to take a piss, you just kind of take a piss where you need to. Now, if you need to take a number two and it's a little bit more serious of a situation, Sometimes, and I'm going to be honest with you, I've run into the situation where I've had to cut sleeves off because I don't have wet wipes. I don't have toilet paper. I got to cut a sleeve off to use that as means to you go to the bathroom. And when I'm talking about number two, to wipe. Okay. I've also seen, they make the company can provide a portable bathroom in a way. It's literally a tent that pops up. That's about yay big. And there's a 5-gallon bucket that you're able to sit on. And you have wipes. And that's where you take your number two. And if you really got to go, that's what you got to do. But in most cases, in most experiences that I've personally seen working in rural areas, you just have to go pop a squat somewhere, 50 yards, 100 yards off the beaten path somewhere. You got to pop a squat and you got to let it go. And is it uncomfortable? Probably. There's a good chance it's uncomfortable. Is it fun? No, not really. Is there bushes and there's insects and is there poison ivy or something like that? Possibly. Okay. It's either hold it or go get comfortable hanging onto a tree branch, popping a squat next to a downed tree. Okay. That's really your options. And if you're fortunate, maybe there's a porta potty close by or a gas station you can quickly run to. Use the foreman pickup or whatever the case may be to go run to the gas station and use that bathroom. But more cases than not, you're going to pop a squat somewhere and hopefully you have some wet wipes. It's common now to have a pack of dude wipes, in the truck. And a lot of guys have dude wipes with them because of that situation. We're like, hey, I got to go do number two really quick. Scurry out, somewhere's off the beaten path, somewhere's no one can see you, hide behind a bush, pop a squat, and do the number two. Take your dude wipe, and however you discard that wipe, I don't know. People do, maybe they dig a hole, I don't know what they do. That's to be determined in the time of crisis, okay? So that's what I could tell you. You know what I mean? Number ones are easy because you just can unzip and take a piss, all right? Number twos can be a little bit more complicated, all depending on where you're at, where you're working. That's all to be determined. But those are the most common ways I've seen it done, okay? Yeah, I don't know much more or what else I could tell you in that time of crisis, but that's what you could kind of expect is to do something along those lines. All right, let's hop into another question here. Probably just do 2 questions today. I'm running a little short on time, but this one's coming from a guy named Morgan who emailed me saying, hey, Austin, I appreciate the videos. You've helped me get the interview and knowledge of the trade. I know this is a question you can't really give me exact answer on, but last month I went up to Lineman, Georgia, and took my interview with SELCAT for an apprenticeship. The interview went great, and I bonded with them really well. I was the last interview for this session of interviews, and I ranked 54. I live in Florida, if that's information you may need, but over the last month, my number has went all the way down to 26. It's been sitting at that for about a week and a half now, and I'm sure it's just about how much work there is right now, or lineman crews with opening for apprentices. You seem to know what you're talked about. So I was wondering what exactly else might be holding up that number and when you might think I could be looking at getting on a crew. I did not go to line school, and when my number finally does come, what am I expected to see? Thank you for your time, and I'm looking forward to hearing back from you. All right, so you got ranked 54, which is really good for a whole, for SELCAT that covers many states. And now you're sitting at 26. What could you expect timeline-wise? I don't have an exact answer for you, but I can tell you with this email coming in, you emailed me beginning of December. This is the slow time of year for most parts, I'm going to say majority part of the country, for work in general in the lineman industry. And I say that because this is when layoffs typically happen. And I'm going to tell you this right now. You're probably held up at ranked 26th right now is because there's a good chance that they have started and they have laid off other apprentices, and they're not calling out and indenturing new apprentices. That's typically what happens, like I said, in majority parts of the country right now. During the winter season, end of fourth quarter, beginning of first quarter of the fiscal year, that's when work is slow. Contractors have finished out jobs and they are going to be waiting to bid on new jobs in the new year. So 2026, typically work starts picking back up end of February, beginning of March, and through March is typically when work starts picking up. So you're ranked 26 right now. I probably would expect to start seeing your number go down. When I say go down, 26 to 20 to 15 and so on and so forth. Probably not until the end of January. Now, I could be completely wrong, but I also don't know what the workload looks like in the SELCAT region, considering that covers Georgia and Florida and South Carolina. I forget all the states that SELCAT really covers, but that's predominantly a non-union territory as well. But being ranked 26 in that big of a region, considering apprentices are placed anywhere within the states in that jurisdiction of SELCAT in the Southeast, I would say I would hold my breath or hold your breath or whatever until probably end of January, beginning of February is when work will start kind of moving and picking back up. They lay off apprentices come, November, December, January. When work picks back up, contractors get new bids, they get new work. Things are, starting to happen. They're going to start putting laid off apprentices first back to work. And then as all of the laid off apprentices are back to work, they will start indenturing new apprentices as contractors have work and they need more manpower and they need more apprentices. They will start indenturing and getting on new apprentices. So ranked 26, I would say, because of the time of year it is right now, I would think, late winter, early spring is like something I would probably think of. Now, I could be wrong. Like I said, there maybe come New Year, the economy's booming and maybe these contractors have, a lot of the contractors in the Southeast region have a lot of work booked out or bidded and ready to go beginning of the year. And maybe they need a bunch of apprentices, but that's just not typically how it works. And realistically, that's what I would expect if I was in your position. That's what I could expect to see. Now, you say, when my number finally does come, what am I to expect to see? Either an email or most likely a phone call from the apprenticeship, from SELCAT, saying, hey, Morgan, we have an apprenticeship opportunity for you. We need you to be in Tampa, Florida, or we need you to be in somewhere's in Georgia, anywhere in the SELCAT region, any one of the states, Atlanta maybe or wherever. And they will say, hey, we have this job call, 510s for XYZ contractor, starting on this day at this time. Is this something you want to do? And you will accept or you will decline. Hopefully you accept, because if you want to become a lineman, that's what you got to do. No matter how uncomfortable or how unfamiliar or how unreasonable it might seem at the time, you accept that call or you see that email and you call the number. It's usually one of both ways. It's typically a phone call, but sometimes it's an email saying, hey, call this number. And then you call and you set something up, right? And that's what you could expect. And once you accept that apprenticeship, you will get a referral from the apprenticeship or the union. And it'll have the general foreman, it'll have the company, it'll have a phone number, it'll have a start date, a start time. And you will call your general foreman or the supervisor, the contact that you have, and you will call them up and say, hey, I'm Morgan, I'm so-and-so. I just got called out for the SELCAT apprenticeship. The apprenticeship director told me to contact you. Where do you exactly need me? Where do I need to do pre-hire paperwork? Where do I need to do the employee orientation? Where do I need to go take a drug test? What do you need from me? And he will lay it out for you. He'll give you everything you need to do, and whatever he needs. He might need some things emailed to him, certifications and pictures, and more information from you, email addresses and things like that. And you will give him whatever he needs, or she, I should say, could be either or. And you will go about your way. But it won't be just totally you'll be in the dark. You'll have information. They will provide you with things you need, the information that they want, and you'll be on your way. And you'll do orientation. There'll be some things that the apprenticeship will have you do. There'll be some things for you to sign. And you'll become an apprentice lineman. And you'll be on your journey and on your way. So that's what you could expect. But during this time of the year, I would say I would expect to be called out probably. I would expect that number to start moving down from 26 towards 0. Probably towards the end of December, beginning of February. Just because that's when work kind of starts to creep back up. And that's when work starts to picking back up. Hopefully that little bit of insight will help you, Morgan, and give you a little bit more clarity on what you hopefully have a better time horizon on when you could potentially see a phone call. The other thing I will say is if SELCAT does another round of interviews between now and, before work picks back up, they might put another flood of apprentices on the rank list, and your number might actually get bumped back up to something else. That is possible. I've seen that happen. They do more interviews. They might have a handful of apprentices they interview, be like, man, these guys are really good. And they rank them number 10 through 20. So you get bumped from 26 to 36. That is very possible. Now, at 26, I think you have a pretty good chance of getting called out within the next month, 2 months, top 3 months, I would say. But don't take my word for it, because I don't know what work looks like in that southeastern region. So, with all that being said, hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode of CTQ, this content. If you guys have questions, please email them to austin@bluecollaredu.com or put them in the comment section down below. This way I can help you guys on your blue-collar career pathways, whether that's questions about becoming an apprentice, how to get started in an apprenticeship, tips and tricks of being an apprentice, apprenticeship unions, whatever the case may be. Please reach out, and I would love to try to help you. With all that being said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode or video at Blue Collar Edu.